and I call the member for Ballina, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I rise to also contribute on the behalf of the Greens to the Product Lifecycle Responsibility Act. And we welcome this, and I note the Minister's staff are here, and we heard from the Parliamentary Secretary for the Environment, and commend the Minister for the Environment for this important reform in this state. I also recognise the work of our spokesperson, Dr Amanda Cohn, in the other place, and her briefing around this as well. Madam Speaker, it is very concerning. I'm someone who's personally quite obsessed with batteries, and it's interesting, a friend of mine, Fraser, just texted me before, after perhaps sadly listening to the opposition leader of the federal parliament in their reply speech talking about nuclear. And he texted me and he said, 10 million homes in Australia, 10 million homes, if you just gave everybody solar and battery, it would still come out. And of course, everyone would have freely democratic energy for the 20 years plus, the life cycle, would be around 200 billion, and that is still well below the nonsense of the nuclear proposition. Anyway, I digress. It is very concerning that we know that people have lost their lives, that someone who didn't understand about the charging of an e-bike using an inappropriate charger tragically died in a house fire this year. And so this legislation is very important, and I particularly am focused on the duty and the responsibility of manufacturers to make sure that that the buyers understand the proper use and storage and disposal of these products like batteries. Madam Speaker, the Greens have long called for stronger product responsibility in addressing the waste crisis more broadly, and mandatory product stewardship is a welcome step towards addressing that, particularly as it shifts away the responsibility from individuals, councils and ratepayers and puts the onus on business. We know that the bill has come because of, as I say, the issues with the flammability of lithium-ion batteries and the lack of education from manufacturers and importers about how to properly dispose of them. Now that there is an onus, whilst this bill will provide a system to regulate products causing problem batteries, it will also include the proper... it will also... Sorry, Madam Speaker, I can't even read my own notes. We know that it can be applied across the board, which is welcome. Madam Speaker, I just want to put on the record as well, last year, or I think it was last year, I finished the tour of all of my fire and rescue stations, and I was able to observe a drill, which was the operation of using the jaws of life on a vehicle. And chatting to the fireys, they were saying to me how concerned they are about EVs, electric vehicles, if they need, for example, to use the jaws of life, because the whole car is a battery. So, and that there is I'm not aware yet of any manufacturer that has been able to get around that with a switch. And so they have to wait for an electrician. And that is a concern to me. So I think that is whilst we love electric vehicles and we love the moving away from fossil fuels, this is a perfect example where the manufacturers are just not really thinking of the consumer and thinking of the buyer, that is a real risk. And I know it's something that our fireys and emergency services worry about, because time is of the essence if you are unfortunately in an accident. Madam Speaker, it is our hope that this law will influence design requirements and that it ends up in products being 100% recyclable or reusable, that they'll last longer and they'll certainly be safer and less likely to cause fires. And as I say, educating buyers about risks is paramount. Manufacturers must do more, and we must insist that they do more to educate buyers. And as I say, how many e-bike users understand the flammability of their bike? People need to be explicitly told that batteries are highly flammable, and they need to understand how to dispose of them. There is existing excellent work in battery stewardship across the country. Operated by the Battery Stewardship Council, B-Cycle is our nationally accredited battery stewardship scheme supported by the Commonwealth and all state and territory governments. Since 2022, B-Cycle has more than doubled the national battery collection rate to recover millions of kilograms of batteries. At over 5,200 drop-off points across the country, more than 1,000 of which are in this state, B-Cycle has provided people with a safe way to dispose of batteries and, very importantly, divert them out of landfill. Who wants to be there? None of us, well, some of us won't be, in 50 years when nothing can be done on land because of toxic waste underneath the soil. The bill carries significant penalties for brand owners who fail to comply with product stewardship requirements set out by the regulations and for contraventions of safety requirements. The end goal, of course, should not be that fines are issued regularly, but that producers change their behaviour, that they consider where a product will end up at the end of its life and design products or their parts to be repairable, reusable, recyclable, longer lasting or safer. And a big shout out to Shedding Inc. in my electorate, because they do incredible work, and the library of stuff, and obviously I've got probably the greenest, one of the greenest areas in the state. But in terms of Shedding Inc., basically you can get anything fixed there. You can take anything. And I miss the fact that you used to be able, when I was a kid, you could literally take anything and get it fixed. And now they're designed to be destroyed, to be useless pretty quickly. So we want to see that this act actually speaks to manufacturers, and it speaks to designers to think of the future and the circular economy that we hope for. Madam Speaker, as we say, we also want this stewardship to be applied to a wide variety of products, such as hazardous chemicals and solvents, medical waste and appliances. Madam Speaker, we thank the Minister for the Environment for introducing this important law reform, and the Greens are very happy to support it.